Gaming Bolt presents 15 dangerous psychopaths in video games. Have we ever told you the definition of insanity? The human mind is built around patterns and being able to recognize what might be coming up. But when we come up against someone who doesn't play by those rules, after all, in video games, there is no sanity clause. Heroes, villains, and anything in between. This is a list dedicated to those who chose to use that emergency exit that in insanity take refuge in psychopathy and bask in their sweet release. We probably missed some really great crazies on this list, so please share your favorites in the comments below. Trevor, Grand Theft Auto 5. While later entries in this list might make him seem like a Teletubby, Trevor from GTA 5 is still quite a reprehensible person. The product of circumstances and environment that make Trevor the sociopath he is become a huge part of the commentary of the game, and make Trevor one of the more sympathetic examples here, even if we still wouldn't have him over for dinner. Joker, Batman Arkham series. What can really be said about probably one of the most famous transmedia psychos ever? The out-of-character climax to Arkham Asylum notwithstanding, because he still spends the whole game gleefully screwing with Batman in more and more messed up ways. The true superpower of the Joker is how he can get inside the Batman's head, his paradoxical intelligence keeping him frequently one step ahead of the Caped Crusader. His intelligence is only matched by his capacity for cruelty, inflicting the worst devastation upon the citizens of Gotham. VASS, Far Cry 3. Do you know the definition of insanity? Far Cry 3's VASS sure does, and the drugged-up island pirate steals the show thanks to a presence that just keeps the player constantly guessing. What made VASS encounters tense and a bit frightening was that you never could be sure of what he would do, and what kind of state he was in, or what kind of state he would leave you in. Perhaps drowning at the bottom of the lake with a pair of concrete shoes, or perhaps buried deep within a mass grave. You know you stole the show when you get the cover of the game and you aren't even the final boss. The Postal Dude, from the Postal series. What kind of video game would have zero hope of being made in 2018? Well, Postal's a great place to start, with the Postal Dude being a huge part of what got the game banned in over 10 countries at launch. Postal Dude is a fairly blank slate, with voices in his head that tell him that he is the only sane man left in the world after a mind-altering substance is unleashed upon his town when he's evicted from his home. MANNY PARDO, Hotline Miami 2, Wrong Number. MANNY PARDO of Hotline Miami 2, Wrong Number is the embodiment of a life that has worn down the police detective into a cynical husk of a person who's desperately trying to reach for fame and charisma that will forever be out of his reach. It's his impotent desire for fame that leads Pardo between being diehard to just being a crazy serial killer. Johnny Gat, Saints Row series. The trigger-happy, sarcastic Johnny Gat will usually leap well before he looks, if he looks at all. Wanting to end the gang wars that tear apart Stillwater, the young man joins the 3rd Street Saints, because that makes sense. He's the kind of self-righteous that doesn't even give a second thought to the people he kills, because he never even needed to give the act a first thought. His lack of empathy made him a good friend to have, but a terrible enemy to make. CICERO, SKYRIM. Whether CICERO was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs all on his own, or as a direct result of his dealings with the Dark Brotherhood, it's clear upon meeting the Keeper of the Night Mother that he isn't juggling with a full set of pins, often speaking in a broken, high-pitched voice and attacking anyone he believes would defy, quote, his mother. His final assassination, as the player can discover through journals, involves him killing a jester, the very same he would obsess over in his mania. David, The Last of Us. The Last of Us depicts a grim world full of people who have forsaken their humanity and civility as the onset of the apocalypse forces them to make some very hard decisions and choices to survive. But in this world of detestable characters, there's none quite as contemptible as David, a psychopath who leads a band who have taken to psychopathy to meet their base needs, and in a lawless world, who would stop them? Who will tell them they are wrong? The only morality David follows is his own, and his own is the rule of the strong. Kill or be killed, eat or be eaten. The encounters with David are harrowing and stressful like nothing else in the game, indicating just how well Naughty Dog and Nolan North's once-in-a-lifetime performance nailed down this awful human being. Handsome Jack, Borderlands series. The inflated ego of Handsome Jack itself could almost rival the vast untamed Pandora in and of itself. The hero complex of Jack sees the treacherous CEO of Hyperion try to tame the Wild West of Borderlands' planet Pandora and seize an ancient guardian to exterminate his armies, to which he would be hailed as a hero, despite devastating the people of Pandora, forcing his plans on his own daughter, KEFKA Palazzo, Final Fantasy VI. The outlandish jester KEFKA camouflages a truly nihilistic and sociopathic man, constantly scheming against even his closest allies to his own ends. His own men are terrified of him, and he feels nothing for the human life lost, which he considers quite meaningless. And he doesn't try to hide his disdain for humanity. Near the climax of Final Fantasy VI, he destroys the entire world just because he can, shrieking out that iconic 16-bit laugh the entire time. Deadpool from Deadpool. Everyone knows Deadpool in today's day and age. The Merc with the Mouth gained infamy and notoriety thanks to the fantastic movies starring Ryan Reynolds. But before those happened, there was an attempt to bring him to screens around the world with the Deadpool video game. And while the video game itself was of questionable quality, the one thing it nailed was its eponymous character's utter psychopathy and its truest definition of the word. The game keeps Deadpool's fourth wall-breaking shenanigans intact and has him go on a killing spree, at least at first, because his pitch for a video game starring him is shot down. Yeah, that's Deadpool alright. In the end, the game itself, as mentioned, wasn't the best, but at the very least, the tone of the character was totally nailed by this game. GLADOS from Portal. A psychopath is someone who has no understanding of human emotion and lacks all empathy towards others as a result, which is a highly fitting description for the Enrichment Center AI GLADOS, central to the Portal series. Her single-minded obsession with her nearly nonsensical tests that constantly put the forced participants in mortal danger, obvious toying with her playthings such as forcing the euthanization of the companion cube, and egocentric manners all paint her as a classic case. If that wasn't enough, the ending of Portal 2 sees the AI discover her emotional core and proceed to completely erase it without a second thought. James Earl Cash, Manhunt. While Grand Theft Auto can't stop making money and the gaming public is losing their minds over Red Dead Redemption, the Manhunt series never quite got the same screen time that other Rockstar series enjoyed. Largely due to the protagonists such as James Earl Cash offending all of our sensibilities with what he would do to his fellow man. Whereas other violent video games like Doom 2016 are too over the top to take seriously, James will take out his prey with a variety of weapons such as blades, baseball bats, plastic bags, and firearms among others, with which he has to gruesomely, and at the time authentically, brutalize his way through the streets to win his freedom from death row. Needles Kane, Twisted Metal. What kind of ice cream man do you run from? Needles, Sweet Tooth Kane, and his self-titled ice cream van from the Twisted Metal series take a gleeful joy in the carnage of the vehicular manslaughter tournament organized by the devil himself, Calypso, and even seizing control of the tournament himself at one point. Thinking of nothing but killing the one who got away, his own daughter, he ends up using his wish to find her ironically already dead, and him trapped with her rotted skeleton. Kratos, God of War series. Sony Santa Monica did a stellar job with recreating Kratos for a new generation within the new PS4 release, and making us love him. But part of why the new Kratos works so well is because of how much we loved to hate him. As Kratos continued through his rampage against the Greek pantheon in his original trilogy, his single-minded pursuit of revenge culminated in a fairly forgettable, if not laughable ball of rage when Daddy just didn't understand. You only need to look at the many examples of the previous games where Kratos would kill a person who wasn't even in his way, simply because doing so would be more convenient to him, such as the ship captain. If Kratos is haunted by his past in his Norse life, at least he realizes that he should be.
And that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed what you watched and want to see more from Gaming Bolt, you can always hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon next to it. That way you will never miss any of our videos.